Good morning, survivors, and happy Friday. Would you believe me if I told you that some therapists and researchers believe that narcissists are capable of empathy, but they need the right situation to get it? I don't know. Let's talk about it. So today we're going to talk about 3 studies that suggest that narcissists might be able to have empathy with the right kind of environment. Let's get started.
My name is Angie Atkinson, and this channel is all about teaching you what I know to be true. You really can create the life you want.
But first, do you have your coffee? I'm using the Queen Bee cup again today because I like it so much. Maybe not surprisingly, narcissism, according to researchers, has been increasing across cultures, across countries, across the world for the last 30 years. Okay. The research found that narcissists are not actually incapable of feeling empathy. We just have to intervene a little to provide the conditions in which they will do so. So this, according to the study, could give psychologists a foothold on which kinds of intervention measures could help narcissists to empathize with other people. Now, people with low empathy levels are also less likely to engage in certain social activities like volunteering or supporting charities. And narcissists, as you probably know, tend to use more than their fair share of resources. They always want the best thing and the biggest thing and all whatever. They're also, typically more prone to aggressive or antisocial behavior. And of course, they're more likely to commit crimes and go to prison than people who are not narcissists, interestingly enough. So the study was actually originally published in 2014, the first time. And basically, it points out the empathy playing a role in how we foster and maintain our social relationships. So narcissists, obviously, we know they lack empathy. That's kind of the defining thing of a toxic narcissist. That's the difference between a person who likes to take a good selfie and a person who hurts other people just existing. Okay? So the question was, we know that narcissists lack empathy, but why do they lack empathy was what the researchers went after. And they wanted to know, are they incapable or are changes possible? They did 3 studies to address the question. In number 1, they showed that the link between narcissism and low empathy generalizes to a specific target type person, which they addressed in a little vignette. The effect was then driven by maladaptive narcissistic components such as entitlement, exploitiveness, and exhibitionism. And study number 2 examined the effect of the perspective taking versus control instructions on self-reported responses to a video. And then study number 3 examined the effect of the same manipulation on autonomic arousal, as in the heart rate, during audio recording. Okay, so it's very interesting because what they found, the study, by the way, is called Erica G. Hepper, Claire M. Hart, and Konstantin Sidakis actually did the study. And I'm going to link to the study below so you can take a look at it, okay? So I know those didn't make a lot of sense, but I'm going to really quickly go through each one on a more human level, all right? So like I said, Dr. Hepper staged 3 different studies, and I just gave you the clinical information behind it, but basically in the first study, in each of the studies, the participants were asked to look at or listen to other people's negative experiences, okay, distressing experiences. And after that, they tested these people's levels of empathy, okay? In the first study, the participants read, in the vignettes that I mentioned, they read little stories about a person who was talking about their relationship breakup, okay? Those with a higher score on the Narcissistic Personality Inventory, the NPI, which you can take at queenbeing.com, by the way, were less likely to report that they felt empathetic toward the author of the story, okay? Of course, this was regardless of the severity of distress described and regardless of whether the author was in control of the situation or not, okay? Interestingly enough, that study also suggested that this lack of empathy was driven by so-called adaptive narcissistic traits, as in traits that are considered socially desirable, such as being self-sufficient, having authority, things like that. And the more maladaptive traits that were noticed were exploitiveness, entitlement, and exhibitionism. Those were the things that really drove them in this case. I said the second study was about perspective, and so in that study, people were shown a video that described someone's experience of being abused in domestic violence. Okay, this included a video interview with the person who was abused. Now, some of these people were asked to take her perspective and imagine how she was feeling, while others were asked to imagine they were watching the video at home during a typical evening. Okay, so interestingly, obviously, Dr. Hepper said that that it showed that when we put ourselves into another person's shoes and imagine a situation from their point of view, we actually process that situation using the same part of the brain that we use to process our own experiences. Now, the interesting part about that is that we automatically, experience the situation as that person would, which would lead to feelings of emotions that match their feelings. The thing is that narcissists who were high on the NPI, who had been assigned the cognitive perspective taking, did report higher empathy for the woman than those in the control group, while the low narcissists, the people who were lower on the NPI, actually reported in both groups similar empathy levels, implying that they were already taking her perspective. Again, the maladaptive components of narcissism, the bad stuff, seem to lead to explain why some of them didn't feel as empathetic as others did. Dr. Hepper said that according to what she believes, or according to her findings, even relatively antisocial members of society can be empathetic. Now, I don't know what I think about that, but the third study is kind of interesting as well, because this is where they check the heart rate. So in this case, the previous results could, be replicated with physiological symptoms instead of self-reported empathy levels. Okay, and research showed that increases in heart rate are a reliable, as we already know, a reliable indicator of empathy. But each participant's heart rate in this part of the study was monitored while they listened to a 5-minute audio recording of someone describing a recent breakup. Okay, again, they were assigned to either listen from a cognitive perspective taking point, or they were a control group and they were just told they were at home listening to it, whatever. Those who had the higher score on the NPI scale did show lower heart rates than those who had a lower score on the NPI. But the discrepancy was eliminated by perspective taking, as the heart rates went up when they were asked to put themselves in the position and how she was feeling. So Hepper said that the findings suggested that even relatively antisocial members, again, can be empathetic. So she said this is not only good for people around them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's all great, right? But how do we teach a narcissist to stop and put themselves in our shoes and show them that, there is a perspective to be had here, and that maybe we aren't completely insane and wrong and bad, right? The fact is that it's always going to be easier to stick a narcissist in someone else's shoes if a researcher is researching them. It's going to be a little bit harder for you as someone who's next to them. But if you are able to speak to your narcissist in a way that they can understand you, you might be able to explain to them that if they take a moment and they put themselves in your shoes, it's possible that they could get some empathy here and there. In my experience, I have not seen such things, or at least not long term. Every now and then you'll see a narcissist who appears to experience empathy, especially when you're threatening to leave or you're threatening to change something they don't want you to change. They'll pretend to feel and understand how you, care and understand how you feel. But as you probably already know, it's less likely than this study would suggest, in my opinion. So I have noticed in my own experience that narcissists tend to seem to feel empathy for people who are not close to them far more often than they do for people who are close to them. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think these studies are accurate? Do you think that in a day-to-day situation, a narcissist can be taught empathy, or do you think they would need to go through serious therapy in order to make that happen? Tell me what your thoughts are. Let's discuss this. This is rather interesting, huh? Good coffee topic for today. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap up for today. I've got to go do bunches of things. As you can see, I'm late posting. I'm so sorry about that. I've got a house full of kids out here. My kids are off school today, so they had a bunch of friends over last night, and my house is full of children at this moment. So I'm trying to hurry up and record this before they start yelling again. I love my life. It's a very beautiful thing, guys. All right, I'm wrapping up. I'll see you soon. As always, thanks for letting me be a part of your day and a part of your life, and thanks for being a part of mine. And please do let me know your thoughts below. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. I do post every single day in support of people who are trying to go through narcissistic abuse recovery. I'll see you soon. Thanks so much.
It's my mission to teach others what I know to be true. You really can create the life you want. Take care of your body, take care of your soul, nurture the real you, and introduce him or her to the world. Be comfortable in your own skin and in your place in this world. Take your spot, take it now, and the universe will take its cue from you. You feel me? If so, subscribe to my channel. Let's get it done together.